And hello and welcome to AleksTabletops Super Mega Special Early Access event Theros Beyond Death. That is possible thanks to Wizards of the Coast providing me with a special preview account of Magic the Gathering Arena. You will be able to play Theros Beyond Death around January 16-17. But until then, let's have fun with this awesome VIP privilege. So this is Buddy, my name is Alex, and let's start our early access event. So in general, this event is going to be in English. Again, if our Russian audience will get to our stream, I could switch to Russian. The only problem is it's pretty late in Russia at this point. Most of the people are already sleeping. So for me, kind of make the whole stream in Russian seems illogical. So I'm planning on streaming the whole night. Maybe a little bit in the morning, and then I will create separate content for YouTube for the Russian audience, and I will upload it separately, and the game itself is going to be in Russian. But until then, we're going to stick to the, I guess, English version of the game. So, okay, let me check a couple of things. Okay, this is not cool. Wait a minute. So, couple of problems, so we need to solve a couple of things. So, I just launched the account. Didn't play it necessarily. So let's just get rid of the problems with the resolution, because for some reason the resolution is not properly captured. It's kind of cropped, which is weird. It isn't supposed to do that. So game capture, wait a second. So let's just go here in order to have some background music. Also, occasionally stream potentially might drop in speed. So this is something that I can't control. This is just a problem with the servers that I'm streaming to. So occasionally stream will drop. Hopefully the problems will resolve themselves relatively quick and we're not going to drop speed too often. But again, the cool thing is recordings still will be available in their entirety. Okay. So, I don't know what's happening. The video quality is supposed to work fine, but for some reason it's not. So let me reboot a couple of things. I will continue. So, hopefully it's gonna work fine now. Yeah, we don't need that. So the preview, no, for some reason it still doesn't show. This is the problem in monitor. I'm streaming on a 16:10 monitor, not by 16:9 as usual, so because of this the game is quite cropped. I worked on this previously and made sure that it's not going to crop it, but it's cropping again. I don't know why. This is the problem. This is the thing. Every time that you have a important event, things are going wrong. This is just the way it happens. So let me deal with the problem, so we'll proceed on playing. So we got a VIP account stacked with a lot of gems. So as you see, we have not that many gold, but we have a lot of uncommon, common uncommons, rare and mythic rare cards to craft. Everything that we're not going to get. Unfortunately, in previous event they gave us the access to all of the cards in new set. This time we don't have that, unfortunately. So this time I have to craft all cards by myself or by basically boosters, which is exactly what we're going to do. Maybe I need to relaunch Magic. I don't know. Let's try to relaunch Magic. So, wait a second. I will truly try to relaunch Magic. Maybe this will help. Because again, I don't want to dive into the problems of the stream settings because they are unchanged. Potentially it could be a problem in the game itself. So let's try it. It's still kind of weird. Da. だだだだ. still don't get why it's doing this though. I don't want to play in cropped version of the screen. This is pretty bad. Okay, let's do this live then. We don't have another choice, truly. So again, we have about probably 20 minutes before the official start of the stream, I guess. So I could spend some time on dealing with this. So it's all about the proper resolution here. So we need to unlock aspect ratio, make it, I guess, right here. And then it's all about the placement. Let's go into placement. We have a good separation between the cropped area and not cropped area. No, it's not going to work. Damn it. It sucks. Apparently we have to play the way that it is. Like, again, can't change much. The only way to redo this completely probably with cropping. Yeah, basically creating a custom version and basically cropping it. It's probably the only way to do this. So I need to reposition it. Ugh, this is not cool, but whatever. At least it's gonna work. So this one has to be 600. Okay, it's fine. It works. Decent. It's still probably not cropped perfectly. Let's just recrop it again. Maybe we'll manage to get it a little bit better. Yeah, a little bit here. So yeah, now it's supposed to work. Since we're still having issues with bitrate. I have a pretty solid internet connection, by the way. Да, привет, Кофе-сан. Да, все подвисает, как всегда, проблемы. У меня почему-то опять проблемы со скоростью, плюс у меня какого-то фига интернет неправильно это. Ну, хотя бы чат работает, это уже хорошо. Плюс у меня еще и экран игры по какой-то непонятной причине, как я его настраивал, сбросился, и мне его заново надо настраивать, что не есть хорошо. Главное, все до этого работало. Вот всегда, когда запускаешь, всегда проблема возникает. Это вечная вещь. Если бы это был обычный стрим, этих бы проблем не было. Так, сейчас. Еще этот ивент нафиг не пропал, который наверху, его не должно быть. Так, все, сделал. Кстати, как можно заметить, в Theros Beyond Death все-таки будет вот этот. Вот это, по-видимому, супер-мега забавная рубашечка, плюс будет вот эта вот совушечка, совушка. Еще одна сова, сова везде. Это забавно. So yeah, we're almost done with checking things. Unfortunately, stream will lag quite a bit, but not like completely. It will slowly, hopefully, get back to the normal. And also, it's probably going to be a pretty delayed stream, unfortunately. But again, I can't do anything about this situation. I guess we will have to stream the way that it streams itself. Can't that many. I don't have that many choices here. So hopefully sound works. Like, this is something that I didn't tried. So let me update the stream again. it works. But bitrate issues are going to be present, and I can't do anything about it, unfortunately. This is something that, like, I already stopped stream and relaunch it, didn't help, so nothing will help. This is the problem of the software, I guess, that I'm using for streaming. Yeah, without further ado, let's just go and play the game. So the last thing that I will do is this. So yeah, hopefully this one will work. Yeah, I guess this is it. So let's just do, like, I'm planning on playing the whole night, right till the morning. So let's just go. Let's just, first thing, since we don't have any cards in our collection from Theros Beyond Death, and we're not necessarily able to look through the cards and see what's out there, what we're gonna do is buy some packs. So let's just go to the packs. Let's buy our 90 pack thing for this amount of gems. We have a lot of gems on a VIP account, which is a pretty cool thing. So let's just go buy some. Are you sure you want to purchase this item? Yes. Yeah, and we'll also get 2 copies of this. So this is probably a demigod. No, this is just a god. So in terms of the type of creatures, like, we will talk about everything during the stream, I guess. We have a lot of things to talk about. We have a lot of new abilities. Not a lot, like, we have Devotion ability, one of the new ones that basically got back. It's not necessarily a new one. It was present before, but it's a pretty cool ability. Where basically each mana of a certain color in mana cost of the permanents you control counts towards your devotion to those specific colors, or one color. In this particular instance, we have devotion to 2 colors, which means that it basically doubles the effect. Oh no, it's not doubles in the effect, as it reads towards your devotion to white and black, and white and black only counts as 1. No, it's actually double devotion here. It just basically gives us the information that hybrid mana gives only 1 count of black and white. But this one works like with double devotion, which is actually pretty cool. Don't believe that we had double devotion before. So yeah, devotion, again, we will go through new mechanics once we will open the boosters. So let's claim. I don't know how many packs we have to open. Maybe like buying 2 sets of 90 packs will be enough. I don't know. Yeah, let's just do this. Let's buy another 90 packs. So now we have 4 copies of this one. 2 in each set of packs, which is pretty cool. And let's just check the sound. Sound works good. Like, am I seeing chat? Yes, I'm seeing chat. Yeah, for some reason the connection isn't stable. Again, sorry about that. Can't do anything about it. This is just the way that it is. Technical difficulties that I can't control, unfortunately. So every 20 minutes or so, we're going to remind viewers that this is a sponsored stream. I guess we don't have to do it now yet. So let's just go and open packs and from new set and read through a couple of cards. Like, again, there's a lot of boosters to open. Ideally, I would like to see all cards, like commons, uncommons. But apparently, since we have a lot of boosters and not that much time, let's just go through mythics and rares by opening 10 packs at the same time and read through them, and probably will build decks based on them, because again, there's so many cards in the set that I just don't have time to review them during the stream. So all of them at least. So because of this, I guess we have to adapt, and let's just do exactly that. Adapt. So open 10. Go a little bit quicker here. This is the first time, by the way, that I'm doing this. Never tried this thing before. I mean, one of the things that they will add, by the way, with the new update is the first statistics. I don't know what this, basically this kind of a thing. Like if you open this card for the first time and you don't have in your collection, it will read the first, which is pretty cool. So what we get here? So we got a pretty cool sorcery. Create an X1 red elemental creature token with trample and haste. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. It deals twice damage to target creature or planeswalker, and you have to choose one of them. So you either create a creature or basically deal damage equals to the X mana paid for this multiplier. Cool. First run games. So this is a return of sagas. The last time that we saw sagas was probably around Dominaria. So now sagas are returned, and they have more than 3 abilities. Some of them, which is pretty cool. So again, if you don't know how saga works, again, saga enters the battlefield after you draw step. Add a lore counter and sacrifice it after the last. So basically it works like a story. The first chapter triggers upon entering the battlefield, second on the next turn, and each turn, every chapter triggers itself until last chapter is triggered. Then you will remove it on the graveyard. Okay, so this one creates 1/1 human soldier in the first chapter. Second one puts 3 counters on target creature you control. Then if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, draw 2 cards, and then create a gold token. I don't know what means the gold token. I guess, oh, here's a gold token. Let's wait. Sacrifices artifact, add 1 mana of any color. So it kind of works like a treasure, but it's not a treasure, it's a gold. Which is probably similar to treasure, what it does. So, Lion, this one gains indestructible until end of turn, and when it dies, return it to the battlefield. It's an aura enchantment, but when enchant creature you control, and enchant creature gains indestructible. So it basically returns as an aura enchantment after it re-enters the battlefield. But not a creature, which is pretty cool. So again, the whole set is revolves around enchantments. This is the whole thing about Theros. Theros works with enchantments mostly, and most of the cards are going to revolve around enchantments. We have a lot of abilities that basically connect with enchantments, which we'll get to at some point. So this is one of the example how a creature after dying basically becomes an enchantment. So basically kind of a pretty cool way of not just losing this card as a creature, but then returning it back as a aura, which is pretty cool, as I understand it. I guess it's probably enchant. The creature gets in this. But how you enchant it? Because usually auras are put directly on the creature right away. So if you don't have creatures, we're basically going to lose it. It's interesting. We need to see it in a battle. So choose 1, destroy X, target artifacts and or enchantments, target player gains twice X life, which is pretty cool. So again, a couple of cards with multiplier. I guess they are from one kind of set of cards. Next, pretty interesting equipment. So it gets equipped creature gets +1/+1, has trample and lifelink. Permanents your opponent's control lose hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Yes, so since we have a lot of cards that's set in a god and demigod era, there's a lot of cards with indestructible and hexproof here, and of course this is one of the cards that basically kind of prevents that. Which is pretty cool. So another way to deal with indestructibility and hexproof abilities. Which is pretty cool. So another saga, so put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard, then you may exile a creature or enchantment card from your graveyard. If you do, create a 2 black zombie creature token. It triggers twice, well, it's chapter 1 and 2, and then as the last chapter you gain X life and scry X, where X is the number of zombies you control. So one of the reasons why there's going to be a lot of cards that basically will put a lot of cards into the graveyard because of the new ability of Escape, which basically allows us to exile a certain amount of cards from the graveyard in order to return the card with Escape from the graveyard to play. This is one of the new mechanics in here, and which is actually pretty cool. So this is one way to put creatures or cards from top of our library into our graveyard in order to use escape abilities more often. Because, like, for instance, a Spet Planeswalker, I believe, with escape ability, you can return her on a battlefield only after exiling 6 cards from your graveyard. So if you don't have them, you're not going to be able to escape, of course. We will get to that in the once we will get into play. But again, first we have to create a deck. Again, this is going to be a slow progression. Stream is completely down. Like, sorry about that. I truly don't know what's happening here. I can't change anything. I don't have that many options truly to stream Magic, only here. But unfortunately, speed right now is dropped completely, and it's just not showing. I guess I will continue to record this as a video, and once speed is going to go up, at some point it will go up. So, okay. So again, search your library for up to X land cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle your library. An intention deals twice X damage to each creature with flying. By the way, at this point, I have a lot of open 10 boosters puck kind of actions, so hopefully once I will, like, until I will finish this, the stream speed is going to go up, and once we will start to create some stuff, like create some decks, it will, yeah, the speed will eventually get back, so now we get back to the full speed and it's fine, but again, there are going to be some down times during the stream. Sorry in advance. So yeah, let's just get back to this one. Search your library for up to X land cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, and shuffle your library. Deals X damage to each creature. So again, another card from this type of kind of set with X multiplier, mana multiplier, which is pretty cool. So this is our, this is not a god, but this is one of the kind of characters of the new set. Athris. We have a lot of cards that work with him. So it has Menace. This is legendary creature. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent looks at the top 3 cards of your library and separates them into face down pile and face up pile. Put one pile into your hand and the other into your graveyard. Which is interesting because, again, we either can choose from the face up pile and see what cards we're going to get. Put one pile in your hand and the other into your graveyard. So it's pretty interesting. I mean, we need to see it in play, but it's actually pretty cool. So we either can surprise ourselves with face down cards, if for instance face up cards are completely bad, or we could not risk doing so and take what we see, which is pretty interesting. Okay, then. Wait a second. Yeah, let's just open another 10 packs. So yeah, we have a lot of things to open here. We have the whole night, so we have more than enough time for that. Okay, pretty cool things. So flying lifelink, it's pretty costly. I mean, double 2 mana cost. It's pretty heavy. What? Seriously? So, by the way, maybe this was a reason why we got problems with speed, because for some reasons Windows 10 update decided to download itself in improper time. This is the same was in a previous early access event for some reason. So hopefully speed will get back at some point. We don't have any, not going to have any problems with the bitrate throughout the stream. So whenever you draw a card, this one gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Whenever it attacks, draw a card, which is pretty interesting. But discard a card and gains hexproof until end of turn, and then tap it. Pretty weird card. I mean, we have to see it in play in order to like truly understand its potential, but it's actually pretty cool. Whenever you draw a card, it basically gets bigger in attack. By itself, it's 3/5, so it's pretty cool. It's pretty heavy to put it into play because of the two double mana symbols in its mana cost, but kind of cool. I mean, if you will create a deck with a lot of multicolor lands, it shouldn't be a problem, or with a pretty good mana fix again. And then you can discard a card and it gains hexproof, and upon attack you will also draw a card, which is pretty cool. So it's kind of, by default it will get 4/5 by just attacking. And if you attack with multiple creatures like this, like with 4 at the same time, or if you will manage to copy them, you could multiply this effect and get even plus more. And if you will manage to put a trample on it, it will be even better. And again, if opponent decides to kill it, you could just discard a card by using this activated ability. It will tap it. Oh, but what is if it already tapped though? This is interesting. You can't tap. No, you could actually double tap a card. This is interesting. This is something to keep an eye on. Interesting one, definitely. We'll see it. So continue. Oh no, snap! I missed it. Didn't read it. So this is quite not cool. Let's just get back to look through the cards. Well, we don't have that many of them. So yeah, one of the cool things now, all new cards that we will open will also show here, which is a good thing. So there's a lot of cards that we open. We're now going to focus only on, I guess, rares and mythics. So we covered that, so don't believe we covered this one. So when it enters the battlefield, creates a 1/1 goat creature token, sacrifice another creature, scry 1, escape, exile 4 other cards from your graveyard in order to escape it. So you have to basically pay, so yeah, you may cast this card from your graveyard for its escape cost by also exiling for paying the appropriate amount of mana, and in addition to that, exiling 4 other cards from your graveyards. And when it escapes, it also enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. This is one of the things with escape. Usually escape abilities basically makes creature even better, or just a card, because not only creatures could escape graveyard. It's pretty cool. So yeah, this is one of the new mechanics. So all this is pretty familiar. There is a chance that this is a returning mechanic, or maybe not, but it seems familiar truly, for me at least. So exile target creature or planeswalker, look at the top card of your library. You may put that card into your graveyard. You can. Pretty interesting one. Pretty interesting removal. It's probably going to be one of the top removals. Not that costly. It also exiles creature and planeswalker, and allows you to put more cards into your graveyard in order to boost the escape thing. Okay, we believe, yeah, this one. Whenever it attacks or becomes the target of spell an opponent controls, choose one. Either this giant deals 3 damage to each opponent, or exile the top 2 cards of your library. Choose one of them. Until end of your next turn, you may play that card. Pretty cool. Okay, what about this one? Yeah, we already talked about this one. Yep, one of the familiar cards, for me at least. Saw it multiple times. So indestructible, legendary creature, god, has devotion to green, and as long as your devotion to green is less than 5, Nylea isn't a creature? Oh, apparently she's just an enchantment. Interesting. This is interesting how just enchantments are in the game. This is interesting because... Oh, she's just going to be in an enchantment zone. Yeah, it's fine. Creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, which is pretty sick. I guess this is just a regular enchantment ability. And reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, put it into your hand, otherwise you may put it into your graveyard. So yeah, this is one of the coolest things about Theros. Unfortunately, the last time Theros was released, like a lot of years ago, I wasn't managed to necessarily dive into the set itself. At that time I didn't play Magic that often. So getting back to Theros and now seeing those pretty cool hybrid cards, creature type cards, like creature enchantments or whatever, it's actually going to be a pretty awesome experience. So definitely looking forward to play this card. Maybe we'll build deck around it. Pretty cool. Yeah, I kind of have to already think about what type of deck we're going to build. So enters the battlefield tapped. Oh, pretty cool land. So we already saw this one, so yeah, we got 4 copies of this one with our... By the way, we didn't read it. As long as your devotion to white and black less than 7, this one isn't a creature. At the beginning of your end step, put a coin counter on another target creature. Whenever a creature with a coin counter on it dies, or it put into exile, which is pretty cool, both, either that or that, return that card to the battlefield under your control. Pretty sick, pretty sick. It's actually pretty sick. It's a pretty sick card, I mean, come on. It's pretty costly, but it's cool. We saw that one. So reveal the top 6 cards of your library. An opponent exiles a non-land card among them. Then you put the rest into your hand. That opponent may cast the exiled card without paying its mana cost. Okay, again, reveal the top 6 cards of your library. Yes, opponent exiles a non-land card among them. His or her choice. Then you put the rest into your hand. That opponent may cast the exiled card without paying its mana cost. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I mean, I don't know where exactly this one is applicable. I mean, this is interesting, but it's quite weird card. We'll see it in play at some point, I guess. Again, double land. Yes, covered that one, so... I believe we already have this card. And, yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Theros Beyond Death. So yeah, let's just continue to open packs. Things are not going well. We still have troubles with bitrate that I can't fix. So, yeah. I believe we could go with a quick reminder that this stream is possible thanks to Wizards of the Coast providing me with this special preview account of Magic the Gathering Arena as an early access event. Thanks for Wizards for the invite and this VIP privilege, which is pretty cool. So yeah, so you see we have already 1 copy of this one, so it doesn't read first, but we have the first Elspeth, which is pretty cool. Elspeth, so let's just go through them. So land, second copy of this one, second copy of this one, which is actually pretty cool. So we will focus only on those cards that are first, that we didn't read. So yeah, for -1 loyalty, up to 2 target creatures you control each get +2/+1 until end of turn. Create 2 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens. You gain 5 life for -3. It has only minuses? This is weird. This is the first Planeswalker that doesn't have any pluses and it's mythic. Huh. But you will be able to escape it from the graveyard. It's weird. It's actually probably not going to be that playable card, unless you have cards that could put loyalty counters with like Proliferate or whatever. because other than that, it will become pretty quickly a disposable planeswalker. And people rarely play disposable planeswalkers. Okay, wait a minute. Just continue. Oh, come on again. Ah, gotta be kidding me. Things are not going well here. It's pretty hard to have fun when you have problems. So, yeah, new cards. Toughness equal to the devotion to white. Whenever another creature you control enters the battlefield or dies, you gain 1 life. So again, by default, this one enters 2/2 because it's by itself has 2 devotion to white. But the more permanence with mana symbols, white mana symbols you have under your control in their converted mana cost, the bigger it becomes, which is pretty cool. So this one, enchantment with flash, when it enters the battlefield, create 2 white human soldier creature tokens and you gain 2 life. Also you could sacrifice it and scry 2. Just a regular enchantment, but with flash, which makes it quite cool. Everything with flash is super cool. So yeah, disposable planeswalker is not necessarily a good one. It's a shame that it doesn't have any plus abilities. I wish it has at least 1/1. Enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls until this one leaves the battlefield. Okay, another kind of temporary removal of some kind. Whenever another creature you control attacks, it gets +1/+1 in toughness until end of turn. So this one, whenever a creature dies, if an aura you controlled was attached to it, return target creature card with converted mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard into your hand. So again, another time where enchantments are playing a big role. We're going to see a lot of enchantment decks, I guess, and we'll probably will build an enchantment deck. We don't have that much of a choice here. So we already spent like 38 minutes on going through only a couple of cards. So again, unfortunately, I don't have time to cover all of them. But again, we will cover all cards that we opened through the boosters here. Enters the battlefield. You may put at least only, I guess, rares and mythics, because it's just much quicker. Constellation. So this is another new mechanic. Constellation. So this ability triggers when enchantment enters the battlefield under your control. So each card basically uses Constellation differently, but in this particular instance, whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, you may have this card basically become a copy of another target creature, except it has this ability. So interesting. So it kind of copies itself with this same ability, but becomes a different power and toughness. I guess this is it. Cool. Enters the battlefield tapped. Okay. Return when it enters the battlefield. Return any number of aura cards from your graveyard to the battlefield attached to creatures you control. This is crazy. Exile those auras at the beginning of your next end step. Here's the balance. If those auras would leave the battlefield, exile them instead of putting them anywhere else. I mean, it's kind of just not to bend rules, I guess. We have kind of double exile here. Exile those auras at the beginning of your next end step if those creatures will survive, and if they're not gonna survive and creatures will die and auras will leave the battlefield, you will still have to exile them instead of putting them anywhere else. So yeah, cool. That's why it's stressed 2 times. Satyr. So other satyrs, or satires, I don't know, satyrs. You control get +1/+1 and have haste. Whenever you attack with 3 or more creatures, you may discard a card at random. If you do, draw 2 cards. Okay, it's pretty decent. It's pretty cheap. Probably going to have it, like, we're going to have this card in a lot of aggressive decks, I guess. Even if it's not going to give satyrs +1/+1. Just by itself, it's pretty cool. So cover that one, so let's just cover the rest. We covered that one, covered that one, covered those. Yeah, let's just continue. Open the next. Oh snap. We have occasional troubles with bitrate. This is the reason why this is going to be a multi-part stream. I will try to basically, upon after we will finish with opening packs, I probably will stop streaming. Maybe I will relaunch the computer, I don't know, like reboot the computer, we'll go with updates, and after like probably 30 minutes break I will be back. So we will go like slowly here, like 2 hours. This stream is going to be about 2 hours when we're just going to go through the new cards, probably build some deck, and next 2 hours we're going to play some cards, and then there's going to be 2 hours when we're going to go and play sealed, probably. We're not going to play draft, by the way. I'm not planning to play draft unless people will come and we will play draft together. I don't have plans on playing draft myself because I'm pretty bad at draft. So I don't see the reasons of playing in something that I'm bad at. So we could play sealed, which is fine. I mean, I'm fine with sealed. I don't like limited formats that much though. Like for me, like historic format is my favorite. I don't even like standards that much. So and during this these streams, we will try to play mostly only Theros cards, so it's going to be a pretty limited setup because I want to see how the inner synergies of the set itself are working, not necessarily how they combine with the other sets, because I just don't have time to do like the full overview how those cards could play in a current or future meta. It's just too crazy of a stretch. So yeah. As long as your devotion to red is less than 5, this one isn't a creature. Other creatures you control have haste. You may put a red creature card or an artifact creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. Sacrifice it at the beginning of your next step. Cool. So, as long as your devotion to blue is less than 5, she's not a creature again. So, I guess we have a lot of cards like this, especially legendary ones, that are, unless we have a devotion to the color that they are representing, they're not creatures. They're just basically enchantments that has this ability, like here at the beginning of your end step, exile up to one other target creature you control, then return that card into the battlefield under your control. It's weird. At the beginning of your end step, exile up to one other target creature you control. I guess it could work. If you tap a permanent for mana, it produces 3 times as much of that mana instead. Oh, this is going to be a favorite in mana ramp decks, definitely. Like it will definitely be a good addition to a Nisa deck. Addition to a Wolf deck. Hello. +4/+4. When you put it in your graveyard from the battlefield, create 2 green wolf tokens. Very cool. So by itself this is just an enchantment that gives +4/+4, but when it dies, basically, like when it goes into the graveyard, it also produces 2 wolves, which is cool. Loyalty abilities of planeswalkers your opponent controls cost 1 more to activate. This is a pretty cool one. Definitely must have in most of the decks, I guess. It's also a I know it's a white card. I thought it's an artifact. No, but still pretty cool. Okay, let's continue. Another 10. I guess it would be much faster if we already had those cards in collection. I would already probably just go through them and build some deck. But again, this is not the case for this event. It just makes things a little bit more slower. But again, I'm not going to stress about anything here. Like I stressed about a lot of things in the previous event. I'm not going to stress about things in this event. Just basically here to have fun. And if someone is going to view this and get something out of it, it's cool. attacks each combative able, so it's pretty aggressive. Enters the battlefield, choose 2, 3, or 4 at random. Hello, random. It also has protection from each converted mana cost other than the chosen number. What? Oh, interesting. This is the first time that the protection from the chosen number that represents converted mana cost of a certain spell that could potentially target this card. This is crazy. I mean, but by itself, ability is pretty interesting. It could get quite confusing for new players, I guess, for those who are not familiar with the Magic rules. But it's actually pretty cool. Pretty cool. So, lifelink, when it enters the battlefield, search your library for a card, put it into your graveyard, then shuffle your library. Spells you cast from your graveyard cost 1 less to cast. Cool. So basically allows us to escape with lesser cost, etc. Covered that one, so the last new card for this booster. Flash, Flying, Giant again. Spells you cast with converted mana cost 5 or greater, cost 1 less to cast, and can be countered. Oh, this is crazy. Pretty cool. A lot of awesome cards here, actually. Like, it's a pretty strong set in terms of, like, there's a lot of, like, game changers here that could definitely make metagame quite unique. So it seems like this set is pretty restricted again by only enchantments. Like, if you not going to build an enchantment deck around them, it seems like it could be pointless. The same I felt in a previous set. It was a lot of strong kind of one mechanic oriented decks like food deck and etc. But this one has a lot of kind of big game changers that you could put not only in enchantments decks, but actually combine, especially in historic, with the previous sets that work with graveyard or whatever. So I believe the set, at least in first glance, it seems like it's more flexible, not just restricted by standard or limited. At the beginning of your end step, you may exile an enchantment card from your graveyard. If you do, create 2/2 black zombie creatures token. Pretty cool. Okay, Ashiok's Erasure. Flash, when it enters the battlefield, exile target spell. Whatever. Target spell I want. Your opponent can cast spells with the same name as the exiled card. And when it Erasure leaves the battlefield, return the exiled card to its owner's hand. It's pretty interesting. So it doesn't specify that we have to necessarily target opponent spells, so we could target our own spells if we know that opponent potentially could have those cards. But again, the only way to exile target spell is by countering. Exile target spell. Or maybe in graveyard. We need to see it in play. I don't truly know how it actually works. We need to see it in play in order to truly understand how it works. I have a little bit of confusion. Either you use it only after once someone casting a spell, because I don't know. Or you could target the spells on the graveyard for some reason, but again, it's weird. You need to cover that at some point. So gain control of target the creature for as long as this one remains on the battlefield. The saga remains on the battlefield until your next turn. Creatures your opponent controls attack each turn Fable, or each combat Fable, and each tapped creature deals damage to itself equal to its power. Pretty interesting, like, removal. So basically you will gain control of the opponent's creatures, then once they attack, and they have to attack, they also will deal damage to themselves. So a couple of turns you could basically... So the conditions are worsened. Like, first you gain control, then those creatures will attack each combat, and then they kind of will deal damage to themselves. Which is pretty interesting. Each player who controls a creature with power 4 or greater draws a card, then destroy all creatures. Mass removal. Each player who controls a creature with power 4 or greater draws a card, then destroy all creatures. Pretty cool. Pretty interesting spider. Wait a minute. Oh, come on again. Damn it. I almost went through all new cards from that booster, so let's just get back to them. Theros Beyond Death. Mythics and rares. Kinda already went through those cards. So let's see what cards we didn't look through. So this one deals 4 damage to each creature in each planeswalker. I believe we covered that one though. Yep. Yeah, we just covered that. Cover that. I remember those. I guess this is it. That many minions. Continuing. Yay! We got Vault. Okay, so yep, this Hound is going to be a pretty valuable card, I guess. Creature cards in graveyards can't enter the battlefield, which is again basically kind of stops the escapability from happening, and players can cast spells from graveyards also. So it's just actually pretty good disabler of these type of cards. Basically, ruin all plans for the opponent. Enters the battlefield, draw 3 cards. Whenever you cast a spell, you lose 1 life, and whenever it becomes the target of spell or ability, sacrifice it. So it's pretty easy to kill it. You just have to target it. Enters the battlefield, draw 3 cards. And whenever you cast a spell, you lose 1 life. I mean, I don't necessarily like cards that deal like self-harm, with self-harm, but that's pretty cool. Remove targeted attacking, blocking creature from combat. Pretty cool. But again, it's quite costly for mana to do so. We have a couple of lands that could do this by just tapping themselves without any mana cost. But not its standard, of course, so. Continuing. 4 damage to each creature in its planeswalker. Yeah, we already covered it, so yeah, again, we're dealing with only the first copy of each card. You may play an additional land each turn, on each of your turns, which is pretty cool. Wait a minute, on each of your turns? Usually we have 1 turn, I mean, but if we have the ability to go in an extra turn, I guess that's where this text is tricky. It will give us the ability to play even during our extra turns. It's pretty cool. Lands you control are every basic land type in addition to their other types. Love this card. Super cool, super cool, super cool. At the beginning of your... Yeah, it seems like we're definitely going to create something green. Probably green-blue, we'll see. Which is again the same type of combination that I created in the last early access event. At the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice another enchantment. If you do, search your library for a creature card with current mana cost equal to +1, 1 plus the sacrificed enchantment's converted mana cost. Put that card into the battlefield, then shuffle your library. We need to read it multiple times. So, at the beginning of your end step, which is basically the end step of your main last phase, you may sacrifice another enchantment. If you do that, because you may choose not to, search your library for a creature card with current mana cost equal to +1 to 1 plus the sacrificed enchantment current mana cost. Put it into the battlefield and shuffle it. Pretty cool. So again, if you sacrifice an enchantment with converted mana cost like 3, you will search for a creature card with converted mana cost 4. and put it into the battlefield. Cool, 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 cool. Okay, continuing. No, first let's just open the vault. And continue to open packs. Opening packs. Okay, land, Phoenix. Usually Phoenix could rise from the ashes, so here we have an escape ability. Exile 3 other cards from your graveyard, it's actually relatively cheap. Phoenix of Ashes escapes with a +1/+1 counter on it, which is pretty cool. One of the things about the escape ability, though, I mean, I believe you will be able to escape this card from the graveyard multiple times, so it's not the same as, for instance, flashback. Once you will flashback, it will go into the exile zone. With escape, you will be able to escape it every time it, I guess, once it will be on a graveyard. So look, you could play it, you could die, you could escape it, then you could die again, you could escape it again. So basically, I believe it works in cycle, which is cool. Boar. All creatures able to block this boar do so. Whenever this boar becomes blocked by a creature, that creature's control draws a card. I mean, 10-6. It's like Yargle, or I forgot how in previous set we call it, like, okay, this demon. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you may exile it. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's a 1/1 and its Nightmare in addition to its other types. Another creature you control dies, you may exile it. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that creature. Pretty cool. It's actually pretty interesting. Demon. And it's not that costly. I mean, there's a lot of pretty cheap cards with a lot of awesome abilities, which is cool. Whenever you draw cards, you may pay 1. If you do, put +1/+1 counter on this Kraken and create a 1/1 blue tentacle creature token. Yeah, new type of token, tentacle. It's just pretty cool. Continuing. Yes, here is Nyx Lotus. So, legendary artifact, enters the battlefield tapped, choose a color, add an amount of mana of that color equal to your devotion to that color. So basically you will choose a color, but how it works, the amount of mana of that color equal to the... Oh snap, this is crazy. Oh snap. So if you have like devotion to, for instance, to black, and you choose that color, you will add the amount of mana equal to the devotion to that color. So if you have devotion to black like 5, you will add additional 5 mana with tapping this Nyx Lotus. Pretty sick. I mean, come on. Ooh, interesting art. Oh, Kroxa. When it enters the battlefield, sacrifice it unless it escaped. Okay. Yeah, I remember that one. So basically, it's kind of a counterbalance. By itself, it costs only 2 mana, which is super cheap. But it's 6/6, which is, again, completely out of balance. In order to balance it out, once it enters the battlefield, it right away sacrifices itself. So it goes into the graveyard. When it enters the battlefield or attacks each opponent, discard a card. Then each opponent who didn't discard a card or didn't discard a non-land card this way loses 3 life. And with escape, you just have to exile 5 other cards from the graveyard. And cost is pretty fine. I mean, 2 additional 5 cards exiled, 2 of each mana. It's fine. Lands. So at least we're getting a lot of lands, which is cool. If we don't have enough, we will craft. We have a lot of things to craft. King stunned. Target creature gets -X until the end of turn. You gain X life. Exile up to twice X target cards from your graveyard, from graveyards. So interesting. Again, this one to not allow opponent to gain too many cards into the graveyard. Like, this is basically a good balance to fight and escapability, I guess. What else we have? A horsefish. Horsefish. Whenever you cast your first spell during each opponent's turn, draw a card. Yes. Yep, so it's time for the quick reminder now. Let's just go into the quick reminder. Yeah, quick reminder that this stream is possible thanks to Wizards of the Coast providing me with a special preview account of MTG Arena as early access event. Thanks Wizards for the invite. So this is exactly what it is. It's pretty cool. Yeah, continue. So only one new cards here. Add 2 waste or colorless mana. Spend this mana only to cast artifact spells or activate abilities of artifacts. Okay, additional to artifact decks, in historic especially. I don't believe that there's going to be that many, like, historic, like, standard decks with artifacts, but you could build one. Equipped creatures you control have flying and haste. Cool, basically, cool. Okay, only one new card here. Another god indestructible. As long as your devotion to white is less than 5, it's not a creature. It's usual. All gods are like that. Whenever you gain life, put +1/+1 counter on target creature or enchantment you control. So now it is a logical thing to put counters, +1 counters on enchantments once they will become creatures. So it's actually pretty good. Usually if enchantment is not going to be able to become a creature, there's no reason to put it, of course, counters on it. But now we have this ability because a lot of enchantments in this set could become creatures at some point, or they are creatures, which is cool. It will create an interesting dynamic in the game. Another target creature gains lifelink until end of turn for 2. Okay, continuing. Okay, create 8/8 blue Kraken creature token with hexproof with 1 upon entering the battlefield. Next turn, tap all non-land permanents target opponent controls they don't untap during their controls on tap step, and gain control of target permanent and opponent controls and untap it. Cool. It's actually pretty similar to what we already have. Like, we have similar saga, but with different abilities. That's it, continue. It seems like we opened a lot of firsts, I guess. Now it's down to multiple copies. Constellation, whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under control, put +1/+1 counter on this champion and draw a card. Pretty cool. Enters the battlefield, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is your devotion to blue. Put up to 1 of them on top of your library and the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. If X is greater than or equal to the number of cards in your library, you win the game. Cool. Again, enters the battlefield, look at the top X cards of your library. Where X is your devotion to blue. Put up to 1 of them on top of your library and the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. If X is greater than or equal to the number of cards in your library, you win the game. This is pretty cool. So basically, you win the game based on the devotion, on the comparison of devotion to the cards left in your library. So as I understand, if you have like devotion to 10 or to 20 and you have exactly 20 cards or 19 cards in your library, if devotion is greater than cards in your library, you win the game. automatically, which is pretty cool, as I probably understand this ability. Hopefully I do. Pretty interesting. Love these type of cards. Like, I love unique and interesting mechanics. I mean, at heart, I'm Johnny, in terms of the magic, how I view magic, personally, for myself. So I love these type of cards that give us a lot of unique ways of winning the game, or losing the game, or changing the game and the score. Love these type of cards. Yeah, we got Ashiok. So Nightmare Muse. So +1, it creates 2/3 blue and black nightmare creature token with whenever this creature attacks or blocks, each opponent exiles the top 2 cards of their library. With -3, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, then that player exiles a card from their hand. And with -7, you may cast up to 3 face-up cards your opponent's own from exile without paying the Armada cost. Ooh, pretty sick. It's definitely going to be a quite top planeswalker. That's it. We also get a combination of Erasure also. Yeah, I guess we're almost finished with opening packs, and the remaining hour we will spend on building a deck, or multiple decks, we'll see. And then we will go into the break, and after we will get back from the break, about 20-30 minutes break, something like this, we will start playing finally. So only a couple of 3 new cards here. So Hydra, as usual, Hydra enters the battlefield with a lot of counters here, plus 6+1 counters on it. And it also escapes with 12+1 counters on it instead, once you use this capability. If damage would be dealt to this Hydra while it has a +1/+1 counter on it, prevent that damage and remove that many +1 counters from it. Hydras are usually like that. It also, for 3 mana, it fights another creature target creature, which is also cool. And escapability costs pretty big, like a lot, 6. And also you have to exile 6 other cards from your graveyard. So escapability is not that easy to utilize. I mean, it's not like Monstrosity, where you just could pay a certain price to make creatures bigger. You also have to have the appropriate amount of cards in graveyard, and it also has to be that in your graveyard. So now if opponent plays an escape deck, or has card with escape, there's going to be now a different kind of a focus when it comes down to building a deck. We have to build a deck that also controls not only the battlefield but the graveyard too, which adds complexity to the game, in my opinion, which is cool. Unless people are not going to use escapability at all, but again, it's pretty cool. I'm not going to be able to utilize it every time, but it's still an additional worry for the player, or to think about, things to think about. So when it attacks, and tap another target creature you control until the end of turn. That creature has base power and toughness for 4 and gains indestructible. Interesting. So attacks and tap another target player you control until the end of turn. Question is, like, I'm thinking how many decks we potentially could build. At the beginning we could build not multicolor decks, but actually one color decks, in order to test out the devotion. Then we could build like multiple color deck, like two. Since we have a devotion here, I don't believe that it's a good idea to build like a lot of multicolor decks. Could be a good idea to build maybe like 1 or 2. This is something to think about. I'm still considering what we need to build here. Search your library for an enchantment card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle the library. It just allows to search for an enchantment, which is cool, especially for enchantment decks. So enters the battlefield, discard your hand, then draw 3 cards, escape 8 other cards from your graveyard. Escapes with a +1 counter on it. Okay, so I don't know. Maybe we have to buy another one, another 90 bucks quickly. Yeah, let's just buy another 90 bucks, just to be super safe. We also will get a lot of gems for already existing copies. Because, again, I just want to test this theory, how many new cards we're going to get from another 90 boosters. Not that many. Mostly we're just opening to extend our collection, which is much faster than crafting cards, personally. Crafting cards, it's quite long process here, especially during this sponsored stream. As long as your devotion to black is less than 5, this is, I believe, our last god of that kind. I believe we already opened all 5 of them, this is the 5th one. Whenever another creature you control dies, you pay 2. If you do draw a card, sacrifice another creature, check a creature gets -2, -1 until end of turn. Pretty interesting, pretty interesting. This one, each non-land card in your graveyard has escape. This is crazy. The escape cost is equal to the card's mana cost. Plus exile 3 other cards from your graveyard. At the beginning of the end step, sacrifice this one. This is pretty sick. I mean, you could utilize it, you can use it only once per turn, but during the turn. So you're not going to be able to escape that many cards, but the ability to escape almost everything that you have in your graveyard, which is pretty cool. On non-land cards. That's definitely going to be a one playable card. Oh, by the way, I forgot to cover this one. So exile target permanent an opponent controls with mana cost 3 or greater. Non-creature spells your opponent casts cost 2 more to cast until end of turn, and return target creature or planeswalker cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Put +1 counter on it, or a loyalty counter on it. Cool. Stream is constantly dropping in speed. Plus exile 3 other cards from. So no new cards here. When you're here, enters the battlefield, sacrifice it unless it's escaped. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, you gain 3 lives. 3 life and draw a card. Then you may put a land card from your hand into the battlefield and escape with 5 other cards from your graveyard. It's really going to be pretty hard to build a deck on escape ability, because you have to have enough cards that will go into the graveyard in order to utilize the escape. I'm probably not going to be able to build a decent escape deck without help, I guess, especially like from first try. It's actually quite crazy to expect from a person to go through the new set and get good at it right at the beginning. I mean, during the early access event. You're probably going to suck mostly, unless you have like so deep story history with Magic that starts right at the beginning of Magic, or unless you're a professional player, I guess. For those, it's probably easier. They will pick up pretty quickly on new cards because they're familiar with most of the mechanics and they know the intricacies of the game. So Pegasus creatures you control have lifelink, also has Constellation. Whenever we actually don't have that many cards with Constellation. Like, this is probably, I mean, we'll probably have a lot of cards with Constellation, like uncommons, maybe some common cards, but it's not that many mythics and rares. I don't remember any mythics with Constellation. which seems like either we still don't have them in our collection or I don't know. And whenever enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, it creates a 2/2 white Pegasus creature with flying. So even if you don't have that many Pegasus under your control, this card will produce a lot of Pegasus. Boom. Yay, another Planeswalker. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal an enchantment card from among them and put that card into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. Exile target creature or enchantment you don't control until target enchantment you control leaves the battlefield. Again, -3. Exile target creature or enchantment you control until target enchantment you control leaves the battlefield. Come on, man, focus. It's pretty late. I will push through this stream in a pretty dull mood because I want to sleep. But hopefully I'm not going to fall asleep during the stream. This is about the time, I mean, they allowed to stream about like 5 hours ago, but I wasn't able to do so, so now I have either choice to stream the whole night or early in the morning. Neither that or that is good for me, so I guess I have to stream at least somewhere when I can. Exile target creature or enchantment you don't control until target enchantment you control leaves the battlefield. So pretty cool. So you kind of will choose an enchantment that potentially could leave. Oh yeah, understood. Pretty cool ability. Basically, it turns every enchantment into a temporary exiler, which was interesting. Return all enchantment cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. And I guess this is almost it. Ta-da! We're getting a lot of 5th copies now. Cool. Yeah. Not new ones. So yeah, I guess there's no point of buying any booster packs anymore. Maybe we could buy the last one, because even buying this one we didn't get that many new copies of cards. So let's just buy our last 80 card pack. Same. Go quickly through it. Hope we will get at least a couple of new copies. Snap! Really? Oh, I never going to get this one on my original account, of course. I guess we'll have fun with opening boosters here. Oh, snap! Gotta be kidding me. Oh, snap. So, you tell me that we open most of the cards in our collection? Oh, surely not. We're getting some. Oh, this is cool. I mean, come on. Crazy. Having fun with opening boosters, why not? We have this opportunity. So, yeah. And that's it. And now we're going to open the vault. And let's just start building the decks finally. So yeah, let's just go to build decks. So from previous event we have only one deck, which is now illegal because we have Oko right here, the Thief of Crowns, which is banned now everywhere. We're not going to focus on that. So again, as I said before, I will try to build a deck based on only Theros cards, because again, this is a new set. This event is all about Theros. Since I'm not playing Standard myself, for me there's no point of focusing on Standard meta game and trying to figure out this meta throughout the limited time during the stream. So instead, I'm just going to have fun with playing with new mechanics, with new decks, look through the cards that I wanted to see and play, and see how they work. And even if we're not going to win that many matches, I truly don't care, as long as we'll have fun playing. So Hello. Let's just focus only on Theros Beyond Death cards, of course. So let's see. So we also have a lot of cards that we didn't read through. We went through most of the rares and mythics. Let's just go how many not collected cards we have. Oh snap, we actually have a lot of uncollected cards. Like, we don't have a different copy of Elspeth. Let's just craft the remaining cards, at least one copy of each, just to have access to all collection of the cards. We're also going to read through those cards to see what they're all about. But in general, we almost got the whole collection though. A couple of cards. No, another Ashok Planeswalker. So let's just go through those cards that we're going to craft, that we don't have in our collection. So as long as it's your turn, this one gets first strike, and as long as you control a Spec Planeswalker. Yeah, these cards are usually not dropping from boosters that focused only on certain type of Planeswalkers. So the same was true for previous sets. The King of Combat, on your turn, target creature you control gets +2/+0. It's weird that we didn't have any copies of that one. Gets +3/+0 as long as there are 10 or more cards in a single graveyard, so not only in your, but it could work with opponent's graveyard too, which is pretty cool. And also it can't be blocked as long as you control an Ashok Planeswalker. So again, tied to a specific Planeswalker. Because of this we don't got it. So yep, one of the top cards of the this set. Clothis. So as long as your devotion to red and green is less than 7, Clothis isn't a creature. At the beginning of your pre-combat phase, exile target card from your graveyard. If it was a land card, add 1 mana of that or that color, either green or red. Otherwise you gain 2 life, and this card deals 2 damage to each opponent. Pretty cool. Also another card that basically tied to probably a sped. Yes, enters the battlefield. You may search your library and graveyard for a card named as Pet Hero. Undaunted Hero, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your library. At the beginning of your combat, your turn, each player puts the top 3 cards of their library into their graveyard. Another sped version puts +1/+1 counter on each up to 2 target creatures. With -2, search library for and graveyard for a card named Sunit's Hoplite. Okay, we need to know what this card is. And put it into the battlefield and shuffle your library until end of turn. Creatures you control gain flying and get +1/+1, where X is your devotion to white. Let's try to find Sunlit Hoplite. Here it is. It's one of the cards, by the way, that we need to craft. Weird. But whatever. Okay, next one. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control. This is a crazy one. It's pretty costly, but still. Skeleton Soldier. Whenever it attacks, exile target creature card from your graveyard. When it dies, put all cards exiled with it into the battlefield. If a creature would deal combat damage to Hydra, prevent that damage and put +1/+1 counter on Hydra. Enters the battlefield. You may search your library for or graveyard for a card named Ashok. Sculptor of Fears. This is, I believe, the second one. Yep. I'm going to get to it in a couple of cards. Reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle the library. Whenever this giant becomes blocked by a creature, exile that creature until this giant leaves the battlefield. Krakens, Leviathans, octopuses, and serpents you control can be blocked by Krakens, Leviathans, Octopuses, and Serpents. This is weird, but cool. At the same time, she has so weird of a smile. Draw card. Each player puts the top 2 cards of their library into their graveyard. Put target creature card from graveyard into the battlefield under your control. Gain control of all creatures target opponent controls. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Interesting card. Enters the battlefield. Each opponent puts the top 10 cards of their library into their graveyard. There's nothing super special here. Deals combat damage to a player. That player sacrifices a creature. Whenever it enters the battlefield, creatures you control gain double strike until end of turn. Sick. All creatures able to block this Chimera do so. And when it dies, draw 3 cards. And the last one, search your library for up to 4 Minotaur creature cards with different names, put them into the battlefield, then shuffle library. Interesting. Let's just craft all. Yes. And I guess now we have all cards in our collection, at least 1 copy of each. And it took us like 1.5 hours. This is the problem. I mean, if I already had all of my cards in my all cards in my collection, I wouldn't spend 1.5 hours to open them, of course. And I also wanted to do this during the stream. Why not? Which seems a weird thing to do, but I guess this is a part of Magic experience, opening boosters, buying them, and whatever. So having this as part of the early access, it seems like it needs to be there. So yeah, now we have everything that we need, which is cool. Just go through all of the cards in Theros. So we're not going to go through all cards, so let's just try to build a deck based on one of the rares or mythics that we found. So I liked a couple of green ones and a couple of blue ones, so the first deck that I probably will build is going to be just mono green. You already tell me that later. Yeah, probably we'll have to reboot the computer. Maybe we'll get back a normal speed after a reboot. Again, we have about 30 minutes to build the decks. I'm not going to stick to complex decks. Let's just try to build something simpler. Figure out the mechanics and how they work, and see what other players are playing. Once we will go through this, we will start to build some interesting multicolor decks. But for now, I believe let's just stick to monocolor decks, because we have devotion to one specific color. The first deck that we're going to build is going to be a green one, because this is my favorite color. So let's just go through the cards first for the rares and mythics, and see what we could find as a base of our deck. So one of the cards that I liked right from the beginning is this Dryad of the Elysian Grove. I guess it reads like that. You may play an additional land on each of your turns, and lands you control are every basic land type in addition to their other types. This card is actually quite, it's probably better works for multicolor deck, but I kind of like it, so because it allows us to play multiple lands per turn. Constellation of Error, enchantment enters the battlefield, so for now let's just not focus on enchantments necessarily, although we could build just a kind of a hybrid deck. So this is the next card that I wanted to focus on. Yes, as long as your devotion to green is less than 5, this one isn't a creature. Creature spells cost less, 1 less to cast, and reveal top Kuiper. So yeah, we're going to basically base our game on those 2 cards. Giving us a lot of mana in order to play big spells with a lot of devotion. Also having a lot of creatures in the deck to reduce their cost, which means that we're probably going to put in deck cards like this. If you tap a permanent 4 mana, it produces 3 times mana. Yes, also works. 4 copies, I don't believe that we will need 4 copies, so let's just leave the 2. We could craft another 2. Do so. So again, the cool thing about this now, since now we have a devotion to specific colors, even colors that don't have like abilities but have like multiple mana symbols could be placed into the deck, because now we have a reason for that, which is cool. I don't believe that we need disenchantment. We could try the disenchantment. I kind of want to see how the animations in disenchantment are working. It gives us additional creatures, it puts counters on creatures under our control. Also, if we control creatures with power 4 greater, it gives us 2 additional cards, and also it creates a gold token, which then allows us to add additional mana if we have troubles with mana. And this one, I believe, still work if permanent. If you tap a permanent for mana, and I believe gold is tapped. No, gold is sacrificed, so it's not going to give additional mana for gold. We'll think about that later. About the Hydra, deal combat damage to Hydra, prevent the damage, and put +1/+1 counter on Hydra. It's pretty cool. I mean, we have 1 copy. There's not that many like big cards here in terms of green. Search a library for up to X land cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle your library. Deals twice X damage to each creature put flying. You can put those cards here, why not? Okay, cast an instant or sorcery spell, create green spider creature token with reach. Definitely, we'll put a lot of them. The only problem is this is a legendary enchantment creature, so we're not going to put multiple copies of it, but having multiple copies in general could be a good idea. Again, it would be cool to have a couple of cards like this that allow us to produce multiple mana. But let's just first build a deck around only Theros cards, and if I will need to put something not from Theros to make this deck a little bit more solid, we'll do so. So let's think. So again, this one allows us to put multiple lands per turn. This one, I just want to see how the effect of this card works. This one again gives us a pretty good blocker, also adds to the devotion. This one of the key cards of our deck, which also allows us to play big creatures with this lesser cost. And this one again allows us to produce double mana to be able to play big cards like this or like this. So let's just continue to produce some cool cards. So enters the battlefield, it deals damage equal to its power to target creature with flying and opponent controls when it escapes with 3 additional counters. We could put something small and cheap in play to see how escapability works. Again, most of these decks are going to be not like awesome decks, they're just going to be decks that I want to see how the abilities are working. So let's just test out the Constellation then. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield and you control the top 3 cards of your library, you may remove a land card among them, put it into your hand. Yep, it kind of actually works for our deck, which means that we probably could have more enchantments in the deck. Target land you control becomes an elemental with trample and haste, or access the number of enchantments you control. It's still land. Pretty cool. I mean, if we have enchantments in our deck, how many enchantment creatures we have? 4 of these, 4 of these. Yeah, we actually will have a lot of enchantments, so yeah, let's just put that one too. In order to make the deck a little bit more stable, I'm not going to put too many variants, like 4 copies of each. So not enough. 1 color, if you control creature with 2 mana, many color instead. No, we already have more than enough mana fix, or mana in general. Combat turn, if you control another creature, no. And let's just now put a couple of more enchantments in play. The more enchantments we have, the better here. I'm going to focus on enchantment creatures, of course. Each player puts the top 3 cards of their library into their graveyard. Could work for the escape ability. Exile up to 2 target cards from graveyard. For each creature card exiled this way, you gain 1 life. We have a lot of creatures in the deck, so it could work. And return target creature or land card from your graveyard to your hand. Also could work because we have cards that could turn lands into creatures, so they potentially might die. So having those enchantments could be a good idea. Let's just see the balance between cards and creatures and non-creatures. So far so good. Another constellation with never enchantment. Probably should focus first on probably uncommons. We already put all kind of rares. Usually I'm not building decks that way, but like I have a choice here. Enter the battlefield, you gain life equal to the devotion to green. This one actually is pretty cool. We also have quite a lot of things with devotion, and this is the cheapest card that gives us 2 additional mana to devotion, which is a good thing. So my personal rule of fun, I would say, is to build decks, not 60 card decks, but 80 card decks with about 32 lands, especially with converted mana cost 3, or average converted mana cost 3, but we have a lot of cards that give us mana, so I guess I'm going to keep it that way. So what else? Beginning of your combat, you turn. Target enchanted creature or enchantment creature you control gets +2/+2 against trample until end of turn. At the beginning of your combat on your turn, target enchanted creature or enchantment creature you control gets +1. This is actually a pretty good one. Let's put it here too. It's a pretty weird deck. Mostly it focuses around creatures. Based on power equal to your devotion to green. Yes, each other creature you control enters the battlefield with additional +1 counter on it. Do we have that many cards with counters? Unfortunately not. Although this card is pretty cool, it's not going to help us in here. We don't have that many cards with like that could enter with additional +1 counters. Usually it works with escape. We don't have that many escape abilities here. Now it's time to add at least 1 card with escape here. So far we don't have any. We could take that one. See how many escape cards in the green we have. Not that many actually. So let's just put these. So 3 other cards. Escapes with +1/+1 counter on it. This one seems like a logical choice here. Exile for other cards. Escapes with 3 additional counters on it. Let's just put these 4 in order to just see how escapability works. So again, we built a pretty bad deck. I mean, I doubt that this deck is going to win that many matches. It's basically kind of a mix of all abilities that this set gives us. So it has escapability in it, it has constellation ability in it, it has sagas, it has enchantment creatures, a lot of enchantment creatures. It has devotion, couple of gods to know how they look and how they work, escapability, and multiply in mana, and a couple of cards with the hex multiplier. So I guess this is it. Let's just go with it. This is our deck. This is our green deck. So first we're going to build those decks, and then we're going to devotion to green. Again, for now I'm going to stick to simple ones. We don't have that much time to create like super cool decks in multiple colors. I guess we'll have some time to create multicolor decks at some point. So let's make it a favorite in order to distinguish it from all of our standard decks, which is one of the new things that will be available after a new update. Cool. So yeah, Devotion to Green, our first one. And we have about 20 minutes to build a couple of new decks. Okay, so again, we're sticking to only Theros Beyond Death cards, and the whole point of this first run is to just test out the new abilities. So because of this, I'm creating monocolor decks, which is again simpler, quicker. And most of those decks have all cards, like interesting cards that we could try. Let's go and look through another mythics. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield, you get repulse on counter. So this one is actually better constellation version of the card. Let's just get rid of different type of constellation we had. Enchanted spells you control can be countered. Card. Yeah, maybe we need to get rid of this and instead put creature control gets +1 against trample. No, this is actually a bit cool. This one with constellation is pretty sick. It allows us to draw a lot of cards. So let's see what we could get rid of. There's the battlefield, you gain life equal to your devotion to green. This one gives us devotion. We could put less sagas here. Like, we have a lot of sagas here, but we could put less sagas. Let's just balance it this way. 2 of these sagas, 2 of these sagas, the rest are mostly creatures. That way we have predominantly creature deck, which is the goal here. And I don't believe that we have that many big lands. Remove target attacking or blocking creature from combat. That actually could work. Since lands are not like adding up to the devotion, we could put a couple of those just to make deck a little bit more diverse, I guess. We also didn't look through any artifacts. Good creature gets less I think. Permanency control, lose hexproof and indestructible. Next. This one is actually pretty sick also. So we could put the sneaks into our deck. Like 4 copies is probably too much. This one is too costly. Less copies. So this one, a couple of Nyxes, Lotuses. This one seems like a fine choice, hopefully. A little bit better. We're going to put Nyx in almost every devotion deck, I guess. So yeah, let's go next one. Constellation. What card could represent devotion? Let's just go with this. So the next is probably blue. No, let's go with black. Black Theros. So again, first we will go through mythics and rares, decide what card we're going to build the deck around. Okay, probably around God with devotion, such as this one. Whenever another creature you control dies, you may pay 2 life. If you do, draw a card. Or maybe we're not going to create a deck based on the black cards at all. Again, I don't like self-harm in the deck, inside of the deck. Most of the black cards have that. Search your library for a card and put it into your graveyard, then shuffle your library. Spells you cast from your graveyard cost 1 less to cast. Draw 3 cards, whenever you cast a spell, you lose 1 life. So again, like this losing life, it's not a cool thing. Yeah, we don't have that many cool black decks. Yeah, let's just not going to create a mono black. I don't see that many interesting mono black combinations here, like just personally. Like, in order to create a good black deck, you have to spend a lot of time, especially if you have a lot of cards that work with self-harm. You have to create a good balance between life. You have to think about, like, you have to kill opponent quicker than you kill yourself. So it's a weird balance, and we don't have time for it. So let's just create then mono blue. So yeah, this is one of the cards that I wanted to build deck around. So let's just do exactly that. So again, when it enters the battlefield, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is your devotion to blue. Put up to one of them on top of your library and the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. If X is greater than or equal to the number of cards in your library, you win the game. Cool. What else? Devotion. So again, we have to put a lot of cards with double mana symbol in order to provide a good devotion, and those cards usually have to stay in the game. So putting sagas, it's not necessarily a good idea because they're not permanent. They will at some point disappear. Enters the battlefield, exile target spell. Your opponents can't cast spells with the same name as the exiled card. I kind of want to put this card in play because I want to see how it works. It also has flash. Maybe 4 copies is too much. Let's just put 2 copies because I just want to see how this card works. Whenever you cast your first spell during each turn, draw a card. This one seems like a good one. Whenever you draw a card, you may pay 1 if you do put +1 counters on this one, and also create a 1/1 blue tentacle. So again, because it has pretty awesome devotion, we will put it in play. This one, spells you cast with mana cost 5 or greater, cost 1 less to cast and can be countered. Pretty cool, but again, it's too costly, I guess. So Constellation, whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield and you control, you may have it become a copy of another one. So yeah, kind of want to see how this one works too. At the beginning of your end step, exile to reach you control, then return the card into the battlefield and you control. Put all of them here, and I guess this is for the base of the deck. Let's put 2 copies of this. Just the battlefield. Each opponent puts the top 10 cards of their library into their graveyard. No. So yeah, that's it for this. Let's just go with the rest. So now we need to support the devotion, and we also need to support enchantments. So let's probably find more enchantment creatures to put in play. Enchantment enters the battlefield and control to balance it out. So enchantment fish. Whenever you cast your first spell during each turn, you may tap or untap target non-land permanent. That's actually pretty cool. Let's put all of them here. And also enchantment creature, which is exactly what we need. What about this one? This is a legendary 1 power equal to devotion to blue. Creatures and enchantments you control have spells your opponent cast that target this permanent, cost 1 more to cast. Pretty cool. Let's put all of them here. Against standard. Blue. We don't have that many cheap cards here for each enchantment you control. It's pretty interesting. You could play it with less cost, but because I want to see how it works. By the way, I'm gonna check the sound now. This also has flash. There is a sound there. Maybe 4 copies is too much. Let's just put 2 copies because I just want to see. It's a shame that the whole, like, all 2 hours of this stream are lagging. It's a shame. So there's no one ever going to get to the stream and stay because of these lags. and I can't do much about it. Okay, at the beginning of your upkeep, return up to the one target creature enchantment you control to its owner's hands. No. Enchanted permanent is an enchantment and loses all other creature types, card types. Since this card focuses around emptying out the library and winning with it, we might think about not putting that many cards here in general. Like 80 cards, probably not a good idea. We could go with 60, which will make sure that we'll win quicker. As long as it's not your turn, spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. We don't have that many instants and sorceries here, so it's probably not going to work well. What else we could put in here? Counter targets, no thanks. So, enters the battlefield tapped. It doesn't untap during your untap step. If you control a reflection, when the service enters the battlefield, create a blue reflection creature token. Okay, again, it enters the battlefield tapped. Okay, and doesn't untap during your untap step if you control a reflection. Oh, pretty cool. But once this reflection dies, it untaps again and could attack. Pretty interesting card, but it's not doing anything for this deck, so let's just not go to think about it. Deals damage. Target player puts that many cards from the top of their library. No. No. Maybe we could put something with flying. Flash. Enters the battlefield. Target creature an opponent controls gets ±0 until end of turn, or access your devotion to blue. Kinda cool, at least it works with devotion. It's not necessarily... And we don't have any escape abilities here, no? A couple of escape cards, so yeah, let's just put a couple of escape cards here. 5 other. Draw card. Doesn't have the its controls on top step. Let's put 2 of these. This is it. So, devotion to blue. Hopefully I'm properly displaying devotion. Devotion to blue. Yeah. That's it. So this is our devotion to blue deck. Also favorite. So we have time to build one less deck. Let's just choose the colors that... I mean, like, again, I don't want to build anything black because a lot of black cards have self-harm, and in order to balance out self-harm, again, you have to counterbalance something, which is much more complex. I didn't saw that many white, like good white cards, so let's just go quickly. So the last deck is going to be either white or red, we'll see, depending on the cards. If we find like interesting cards, like this for instance, probably, yeah, I believe most of the aggressive cards, they're pretty costly. There's a lot of escape here. Double strike. Yeah, let's just not go into create anything specifically red. Let's just go with just white. This deck is going to be a white one, so we're going to build it around this guy. Loyalty, abilities of planeswalkers your opponent controls cost 1 more to activate. As long as your devotion to white is less than 5, this one isn't a creature. Put +1/+1 card on creature enchantment you control. Of course, this one. Search your library for an enchantment card. This could work, but later maybe. We have our first planeswalker of that kind. Wait a minute, why didn't saw any planeswalkers in We truly don't have any planeswalkers in... Yeah, we don't have monocolor planeswalkers, only as Elspeth is monocolored planeswalker, which is a good idea to build a deck around. Cool, cool, cool. Let's just put probably 2 copies of this. Let's craft it. 4 of these. This also gives us the escape ability, and now let's just balance the deck with devotion, enchantments, and escapes. Enters the battlefield, you may search your library and graveyard for a card. Here we'll put the hand and shuffle your library. We could put, again, it adds to the devotion, so we could craft 2 of these cards in order to search for this Elspeth. Probably having 4 is too much. 2 cards to find 2 Elspeths, which is fine. Also, let's put this one. Excel target permanent and controls with current mana cost 3 or greater. Non-creature spells your opponent costs 2 more to cast, and return target creature or planeswalker card from your graveyard to the battlefield, which just kind of works because we have a lot of kind of planeswalkers. So if these 2 copies, I guess we will put into the deck. Pegasus creatures you control, and with Constellation you will produce a lot of Pegasus every time enchantment enters the battlefield. Just because this card is pretty cool, let's just put 4 copies of it. And how about this one? Attacks on top another target creature you control. Until end of turn, that creature has base power and toughness 4/4 and gains indestructible. Pretty cool too. It also adds to the devotion. Why not? Again, 2 copies of this. Whenever it becomes blocked by a creature, exile that creature until this one leaves the battlefield. No thanks. At the beginning of your upkeep, put +1 counters on each other creature you control. Yes, please. Question is how many copies of this we need. It's pretty costly, but let's just craft all 4. If it's going to be too much, we will get rid of a couple of them. Okay, and that's it. There's not that many cards here. Each player who can... Seriously? Each player who controls a creature with power 4 or greater draws a card, then destroys all creatures. Controls a creature with power 4 or greater draws a card. Yeah, like this mass removal is pretty interesting. We could put like 2 copies just for the test. I kind of want to see how it works. Again, this is all about testing cards, not necessarily... Let's put this card in here. And the last thing that we can do is, of course, put some uncommons and commons here. That could... This one is probably going to be an 80 card deck, which means that 32 probably, because its average converted mana cost is not cheap at all. Like 3/6 is too much. So we need to put a lot of small creatures here. Power and Darkness 6 to Devotion to white. Here it is. Can attack and block, lose all abilities from a test counter from a Heron. Helioid Punishment. Then it has test counters and destroy. So it's basically kind of a temporary disabler. Let's put a couple of removals here, but not much. Whenever a creature dies, if an aura you controlled was attached to it, we don't have that many auras here. Yeah, we're going to build probably an aura deck from multiple decks, from multiple color decks. Do we have some cards with Constellation here? Yep, a couple of present. Have Escape, have Devotion. So again, the whole point of these monocolor decks is just to check out the cards, what they do. That's it. You gain life, create a ball token, which is actually pretty cool. Let's put 4 of them. To see how sagas are working here. Most of them. The rest hopefully we'll see during the game. Enters the battlefield, you may put a target seriously. I put an enchantment card from your graveyard to your library, on top of your library. If you do, you gain life equal to its convert mana cost. Enchantment cards. So again, enchantment cards are even a enchantment creature, I guess. So we could basically put this one in here. From the graveyard to the battlefield. This one right away returns to the battlefield. Let's put 2 copies of this. And also, I forgot about Lotus. Lotus. Two copies of Lotus. So that's it. And this is our last deck for today in monocolored. Devotion to white. And of course make it favored. Cool. So yeah, we built 3 decks. I guess for monocolor this is more than enough. So again, I don't want to create anything super aggressive, and I believe we'll have enough experience to play against aggressive decks. So I usually don't like red that much, and black cards in this set are too aggressive, or not too aggressive, but they have a lot of self-harm things, as I said before. That's pretty hard to build in mono deck just based on the Theros. In my opinion. So the same goes for the red. Red right here works with a lot of escape abilities, and I don't necessarily think that I would want to create one. So yeah, let's just get with this. So again, I built Devotion to white, Devotion to blue, Devotion to green. These are the 3 colors that we're going to stick, like in terms of the mono decks, and maybe we also after we will test those cards and we will understand how the devotion works and all these abilities, we'll see them in play. Once this will be over, we will of course build a multicolor decks, which is going to be much more easier once we will get familiar with the decks, with the mechanics of the game, and see what people are playing, which is yeah. So yeah, let's just slowly finish this part of the stream. So again, just as a reminder that this stream is possible thanks to Wizards of the Coast providing me with this special preview account of Magic Gathering Arena as an early access event. Thanks Wizards for doing so. So this stream, basically, this part of the stream I believe now is going to be over. So I will be back in about maybe 20 minutes or so, and we will finally start playing these decks. And hopefully I will reboot the system, we will get an update, and maybe the stream is not going to lag that as this version. So I guess this is it. So again, so far Theros is pretty interesting set. I believe it has a lot of unique possibilities. Again, we still didn't play tested anything, which was exactly what we're going to do. We will start with green, then we'll try blue, and then the last color we will try is going to be white one. So we're also not going to be able to play, unfortunately, draft, because again, if I will go and play draft, I will spend at least 3 hours going in a couple of times. Again, there's a lot of people are playing draft right now. I'm not going to focus on draft. I will play sealed, definitely, and play testing those cards, those decks will definitely help us to play sealed a little bit better. So we will return in the next stream in about 20 minutes or so, maybe later, maybe earlier, we'll see. So again, this is a multi-stream event. I will get back on multiple occasions. I'm not going to stream like straightforward, like 6 or 8 hours straight. This is too much. So I will take small breaks in between. So I guess this is it. So again, the next from the next stream we will start playing our 3 mono decks that we built, and hopefully we will play some interesting and cool matches. So yeah, We will get back. I will get back in about 20 minutes. So um, again, I'm not going to say goodbye. There's just no point of saying goodbye. Let's just wrap up this stream. Everything that we didn't try it again, we will try in today's streams. So see you in the next part. This part basically was all about focusing on getting the collection and building some starting boosters to start playing, and I spent 2 hours on it, which is fine. And the next stream we will finally playtest things in a regular best of one, and after we'll go and playtest these monocolor decks. Once I will play enough games, we'll probably build multicolor deck, maybe get into a break and play multicolor deck. And then the last session is going to be focusing on sealed mostly, but not much, I guess. We'll see. And also I'm planning to create a couple of pre-recorded videos in Russian, strictly in Russian language, that I will upload later on YouTube. So there I probably will play the same monocolor decks. Maybe I will just stick to multicolor decks and play sealed in 2 sessions. We'll see. I truly don't know how exactly it's going to go. So yeah, on that note, we will finish this part of the stream. We'll see you in a bit. So, by the way, I want to mention quickly that I have giveaway codes that are that will expire in about 12 hours on my Twitter channel. So again, use links in my Twitch panels to reach to my Twitter at AleksTabletops, and there are giveaway codes that you could activate and still activate, I believe, in at least about like 12 hours if you didn't get them, for a current Master Pass of Throne of Eldraine, 1000 experience, to get your Master Pass. By the way, the last thing that we're gonna do though, wait a minute, just buy some cosmetics, I guess, before we'll finish. So yeah, we actually don't have a new pet, so let's just see. Let's just buy our new pet. Let's just go to the store, buy Master Pass for 3-4 with value, why not? Although it's actually not important buying with value or not. There are 0 days left to progress to an additional level. Are you sure you want to purchase the item? Yes.
Erebos will not confine me to his prison of shadow.
Yeah, it's all about getting these things. Apply now. Oh, we also got some boosters, cool, which we'll open for these. So cool. So let's just quickly open the packs, which is not important. We already have those cards in our collection. Applying some cosmetics. Cool. Go to the mastery. So unfortunately, mastery pass is displayed the wrong way. So we still here have a old mastery pass, not the new one. Just kind of a shame, but whatever. It's not that big of a deal. As long as we able to set our new next owl, it's gonna be cool. Yeah, it doesn't have any variations on it because again, Mastery Pass is not working properly here. Because again, this was just a preview version. They have some issues with and bugs with it. Okay, and also let's add a avatar. Yeah. of Elspeth.
I will avenge you all.
Good. So yeah, this is it. This is the last time that I wanted to do. So again, we'll get back about like 15 minutes or so, and we'll start playing our devotion mono decks. So yeah, see you in a bit. Tony says quick bye, and we will get back in a bit.